Okay, welcome to this short video on formulae, substitution and rearranging formulae. Okay, now this is quite a simple example. We have a formula here for capital P equals 5tq minus 8 over r. And we're to find the value of P when T is 7, Q is minus 5 and R is 0.4. Now, it's really important that when you do a question like this in an exam, you show clearly all your working and your substitution. Do not be tempted to go straight for the calculator and just type in the numbers and get the answer. That will not get you the marks. Okay, so this is what you need to write down and do. Okay, so P equals, and what I'm going to do is literally replace the letters with their values, but each time in a bracket. So rather than write 5 times 7 times minus 5, which I could do, I'm going to write it like this: 5 times 7 times minus 5, okay, because I can then enter it onto the calculator exactly like this, and then I can enter minus 8 divided by 0.4. That's of course if it's a calculator paper, but it may not be. And we're going to assume that this is not a calculator paper. Okay, and we have to work it out. So that's the first step that I would definitely write down. Now, 5 sevens are 35, and if you times that by negative 5, it gives you negative 175. Okay, negative 175, and then you've got to take away from that 8 over 0.4. Well, 8 over 0.4 is 80 over 4, and 80 over 4 is 20. So it's negative 175, negative 20, which is equal to negative 195. Okay, so that's the answer to the question with all the necessary working shown beforehand. Okay, now in the second part of the question, it says rearrange the formula to make R the subject. Now what that means is that the formula needs to begin with R equals something, and it needs to be a function of P, T and Q. And once we've done it, we're to find the value of R when P is that, Q is 0.1 and T is minus 1. So let's now rearrange the formula. So I'm going to start by writing down the formula exactly as it is. Okay, P equals 5tq, okay, minus 8 over R. Now, what I'm trying to do is isolate the R, get it on its own, but I need to do this carefully in stages. Okay, and sometimes there are more than there's more than one way of doing this sort of thing, and there's more than one way in which the answer could be presented, but we will work on the basis that we're going to subtract everything first from here. So we're going to take away the 5tq. Okay, P minus the 5tq, okay, is going to leave me with minus 8 over R. Okay, so I've literally just subtracted 5tq from both sides. Don't forget I'm still left with the minus sign in front of the 8 over R. Okay, now the best way of dealing with this now is to multiply both sides by R. Okay, so I'm going to say from this, that I'll write it under here, that R times P minus 5tq, okay, equals minus 8. So I've basically multiplied both sides by R. But I don't want R times anything, I just want R on its own. So my final step is that R equals, okay, minus 8 over, okay, this part here. And this part here is P minus 5TQ. Okay, now I'm just going to do one more step to this, and it's usually better to simplify this as far as possible. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to multiply the numerator and denominator by -1. Okay, because it's a fraction. The reason I'm doing that is it will clear the minus sign in front of the 8. Okay, and it will give me that r equals 8 on the top. And if you take the bottom line and multiply that by -1, the p will become a negative p, and the negative 5tq will become a plus 5tq. So I quite literally just need to swap those two terms over, and I would get 5tq, okay, 5tq minus p. And that's a better way of presenting the answer than this way. Okay, because you should always look for the simplest method and solution. All right, so that's rearranging the formula, and now it says that I've got to find the value of r when p is -3, q is 0.1, and t is -1. So I quite literally now just substitute into there in the same way I did in the first one. So I'm going to say that r equals 8 over, and then instead of writing those various letters, I'm just going to replace them with their numerical values. Okay, so I've got an 8 on the top line. On the bottom line, I've got 5 times t, okay, which is -1, times q, which is 0.1, okay, and from that I've got to subtract -3. Okay, now I'm very careful there to put the -3 in its own bracket, okay, because if I were entering that onto a calculator, it would need to be done very carefully. Okay, so that's what I've got there, and I just now need to evaluate that correctly, and that gives me, well, on the bottom line I've got, well, I'll leave my 8 on the top, okay, and on the denominator I've now got 5 times -1 times 0.1, that's -5 times 0.1, which is -0.5, okay, -0.5, and then it's take away -3, which is +3, okay, and that equals 8 over, well, that gives me -2.5 rather on the bottom, 8 over 2.5, and 8 over 2.5 is written better as a proper fraction as 16 over 5. Okay, now you can either leave it like that, or you could write it as, well, 5 into 16 goes 3, remainder 1, it would be 3.2, wouldn't it? So either of those answers would be sufficient. Okay, so that is an example of a fairly simple formula that's been rearranged. But just take care that when you do a question like this, you show all of your working out fully and clearly, and the substitutions that you make are very clear to follow. Okay, do not be tempted just to go straight to the answer. Okay, I hope that was helpful.